Hey everybody, Rose Matter here. Welcome to part 19 of my Chaos Head Noah Let's Play. In the last episode, revelations are made. Multiple. Probably the biggest one, well, one of the bigger ones, is surprise! Suwa is actually a bad guy. He is working with, I'm assuming, Nozomi, or at least with this church, this light, Church of Lights, whatever it's called. And I had my suspicions about him for a while, and it's nice to know that I wasn't just crazy and being overly suspicious. So he lured Bon to the hospital, and it seems like Bon was shot dead, but we don't know. We didn't actually see him die. We just heard a gunshot. But yeah, Suwa is working with the bad guys, and shot Bon, betrayed us, and on another note, we also had Yua follow Bon to the hospital and see her sister. And there was a whole thing about, like, is Yua actually Mia, or is Yua? Saying something about how, like, she actually took her sister's place, all that stuff, but it turns out that this was a delusion, this Mia was a delusion, and Yua unlocked her D-sword. Surprise! She is also a gigalomaniac. What girl in this game isn't? And she got rid of the delusion and has teamed up with Isa. So yay for another gigalomaniac. And meanwhile, while the girls are, doing their thing, they're actually doing stuff, Takumi's still dealing with the revelation that he's just a delusion and he's just lost his mind even more, as basically just wanting to die but not having the stones to do it himself. So he is incapacitated right now. And meanwhile, Rimi has also talked to who I'm assuming is Shogun, and I'm guessing is like the actual Takumi, saying that she's going to go save Nanami. So that's where we're at. Let's continue on and let's see what the story has in store for us this time.
殺してくれないか
Nanami's face stiffened, but shortly after that, she put on a clearly forced smile.
鬼、つまんない冗談やめなよ。
Nat's reaction wasn't like her. Normally, she wouldn't just laugh it off. Normally, she'd angrily yell, "Don't say that, you dumb jerk," and spend the next few minutes reprimanding me. Well, not that it mattered. I didn't care. If she wouldn't kill me, I had no more business with this Nanami. She could just up and vanish for all I cared. I locked eyes with Seraton. If only Seraton was in the third dimension, she would have gladly granted my wish. If I was going to be born a delusionary existence anyway, at least have me be born in the second dimension.
ねえ、そんな冗談は置いといて、その話があるんだ。あのね、お兄にもらったバングル、なくしちゃったの。どうせ適当に扱ってたんだろうとか言わないでね。ナナ、そんなことしてないもん。本当に大切にしてたもん。なのに、どこでなくしたのかもわかんなくて。
What, you treasured it? Seriously? Incredible. Genuinely fucking incredible. Comedy gold, really. Besides, I gave you it, didn't I? So it's worthless anyway. You dummy, you don't realize she treasures it because you gave it to her. Besides, the fact I'd given Nanami the bangle in and of itself was suspicious. It could have been a delusion too, for all I knew. That was why nothing in this world was worth anything. Each and everything in my memories was worthless. This is gonna be him for the rest of the game. Ugh. This is gonna be such a slog. I shouldn't say that. I can understand, I can only begin to understand what he's going through right now. Hopefully there'll be a moment where he snaps out of it, finally gets his sword and awakens, but maybe that won't happen in this playthrough.
お兄が初めてくれたプレゼントだったのにな。なんでなくしちゃったりしたんだろう。
They're just having two completely different conversations.
僕は妄想じゃない。
お兄、聞いてる？
僕は妄想じゃない。僕は妄想じゃない。
お兄は、どうして、いつもそうなの？
Her head hung low and her fists clenched tight. Nanami let out a faint whisper.
たまには、お兄ちゃんらしく、頼りがいのあるとこ、見せてよ。
What now? If you're here to criticize me, you're wasting your time. After all, I'm a delusionary existence.
僕は妄想じゃない。僕は妄想じゃない。
All I did was stare blankly at Saratan's smile. There was no reason to listen to Nanami. It was all pointless. After all, I was a delusionary existence.
今までずっと、ナナがしっかりしなきゃって思って、頑張ってきたけど、でもね、やっぱり、ナナだってたまには、誰かに甘えたいよ。誰かにじゃなくて、お兄に、甘えたいよ。
僕は妄想じゃない。僕は妄想じゃない。
だって、お兄は、ナナのお兄なんだから、お兄に頼りたいって思うこと、ナナにもあるんだよ。
僕は妄想じゃない。僕は妄想じゃない。
そりゃ、いつもああしろこうしろ言われて、お兄も嫌だろうけど、それは、お兄がだらしないから仕方なく。言いたいことはそういうことじゃなくて。
僕は妄想じゃない。僕は妄想じゃない。
ナナだって、いろいろ愚痴を聞いてもらいたい時とか、泣きたい時とか、あるんだよ。お兄に、優しくしてもらいたい時とか、あるんだよ。
僕は妄想じゃない。僕は妄想じゃない。
ねえ、お兄、ナナの話、聞いてよ。
はあ、
ナナ、今、すごく、悲しいんだよ。お兄にもらった大切なバングルなくなっちゃって。
So, is she not gonna say anything at all about the fact that apparently she had been kidnapped and Rimi apparently saved her? Does she not remember that happening? Is she not telling me that intentionally because she's a delusion? Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, all she cares about is that she lost her bangle.
声出して泣きたいくらい悲しくて辛くて、お兄に抱きしめてほしいのに、お兄に頭撫でて慰めてほしいのに。ねえ、お兄、今日だけはナナのわがまま受け止めてよ。
Raising my head in a daze, I saw Nanami crying. She was hanging her head low, and while she was trying her best to hold them in, tears ran down her pained face all the same. We're gonna get delusion? Can we have the option to hug her? Oh, nope, okay. Never mind. Whoa. Okay. Upon opening a glass door, the very moment Rimi entered what appeared to be a lobby, a twitch of fear ran through her. A chill breeze, cold enough to freeze her own, crept up her legs. So was this before or after she apparently saved Nanami? There was no sign of anyone, a fact that was obvious for this place, and this place alone. And yet, when Rimi thought about what awaited her ahead, she could not help but wish that someone could have been there with her. Before her was a soundproof door, a door akin to those of a movie theater. From a small crack within the gateway, the chilled breeze came wafting through. The breeze was accompanied by a white haze, a haze akin to the smoke that rose from dry ice. Rimi fiercely bit down on her lip. In her hands was her D-sword, already real-booted.
だから大丈夫。だから 怖がっちゃダメだ。
Desperately telling herself that, she gulped a single time before proceeding to burst open the soundproof door with her shoulder. Okay. Well, this thing looks like something out of Steins Gate. Rimi's eyes went wide at the scene she saw before her. There stood a device that was beyond enormous. Enshrined in the center of the dome-shaped room, it could be described only as a monster. And also it looks so real, like, compared to everything else in the game that looks very anime-esque. Like, this looks like something... It looks almost like a photograph. Like, it looks too realistic. It doesn't look of the world of this game. An ominous sound rang faintly throughout the spacious room. It was a low-pitched noise akin to the deep growl of a beast. A sound that signified the device's operation. Noah 2, okay.
もう動いてるんだ。
君のおかげですよ。
The voice replied to Rimi's vexed murmurs. The moment she heard that voice, Rimi felt her very soul tremble.
崎畑リミ。1年半ぶりです。
Okay. They're just gonna throw a lot at us, and then the game is gonna be over, and then we have to, like, replay it and figure out what the hell's going on. Rimi's instinct was to be engulfed in fear. Shivers rose from the depths of her heart. Abominable memories attacked her consciousness. Her grim past was on the brink of being resurrected. She probably had the same thing happen to her. Maybe that's happened to, like, ISA and what happened to... I guess it was more... ISA, she had the thing on her head, right? And she was basically being tortured by it. But I wonder if Rimi went through something similar. To endure such a threat, Rimi strengthened the grasp on her D-sword and lightly shook her head. When she regained her hold, she shifted her gaze toward the voice. Like, I wonder if the torture that they put people through, like the girls, is to awaken their senses, to awaken their powers. Right beside the enormous device, Noah 2 was him. The figure of a man donned in a suit, and by his side... Oh, shit. Yeah, so the Nanami that is with me right now is probably not the real Nanami. Because I was like, why isn't she saying anything about the fact she'd been kidnapped? Was Nishijo Nanami held captive? Her uniform was torn and a bandage soaked with blood was wrapped around her right wrist. Her head hung low toward the floor and she looked terribly, terribly pale. Faced with such a pitiable sight, Rimi was at a loss for words. Crucified in Jesus of Nazareth's likeness. No, what held her now could not be called a cross. It was something far different, for it took the shape of pure, unadulterated malice. The entirety of this world's evil, the entirety of this world's disorder, the entirety of this world's immorality. It'd be no exaggeration to refer to it as a symbol sculpted to those very attributes. It almost looks like a giant D-sword itself. The man, Norose Genichi, spoke in a peaceful tone, but his voice was embedded with the sharpness of a blade. Doing everything in her power not to sink to her knees, Rimi glared back at Norose.
ほう。まさかここに来たのはお友達を助けに来たという理由ですか？
ナナちゃんを話して。その子は何も関係ないでしょ。
では直接話してみてはどうですか？
Norose's offer left Rimi confused. She was acting brave, but in truth, the moment she had seen Norose's face, her heart had been seized by fear and her legs had begun to tremble. Unable to move an inch from where she stood, she called out to the crucified Nanami.
Nana-chan!
Nanami's head ever so slightly stirred. Her eyes, which had been closed up until that very moment, opened faintly. She raised her head and her hollow eyes fell upon Rimi.
Rimi-san... 大丈夫？今、助けてあげるから。
In the middle of Rimi's sentence, Nanami's face twisted in pain. Her face was pale and her breathing labored.
痛い。
Then, with very little resistance, Nanami's body slid off the cross.
ナナちゃんねえリミさん
Without getting up from the floor, Nanami lifted her head and let her gaze roam about the room. It was as if she was searching for something. Aw, she looking for her brother.
ナナの
Oh, her bangle.
見つからなくてナナのバングルどこにもなくて
She staggered to her feet, and this time she searched her surroundings with her left hand.
バングルだねわかった私知ってるからだから私と一緒にここを出よう病院に行こうね手が痛いよナナはなんでリミさんのことを知ってるんだっけ前にどこで会ったんだっけリミさんなのリミさんがナナのバングル嘘どうしてひどいよ
Rimi, who realized something was wrong with Nanami, instantly looked to Norose. With a scornful grin painted on his face, he simply observed Rimi and Nanami's exchange.
ナナちゃんに何を見せてるの
Nanami's gaze was fixed on Rimi. Trembling like a newborn fawn, she slowly stood up, and then she held out her right wrist as if offering Rimi her palm. A bandage drenched in blood. It almost appeared as if her hand were still connected. And yet, one after the other, vibrant, scarlet drops fell from the bandage without reprieve. By her feet, a pool of blood grew larger and larger with each passing second. She needs medical attention, fast. But despite how frantic she was, Rimi was unable to get any closer. Her getting closer to Nanami would mean getting closer to that man. Obviously, that guy's put her through some shit. She's got some trauma from him. It frustrated her greatly, leaving her on the verge of tears.
リミさんが持ってたのナナちゃん帰ろうこっちに来てどうして持ってくの返してナナのバングル返して落ち着いてナナちゃんお兄からもらったナナの大切なあれは誰にも渡したくないの返してよナナちゃん返して
Together with her pained scream. Aw, no way. A single drop of blood fell from her right wrist. Of course, like I said, right? Before the opportunity to hit the ground, the drop crystallized at high speed. Originating from nothing with the drop at its center, a mineral-esque object burst into view. It was as if a carapace formed from minerals had ripped through a rift in space. In the blink of an eye, it took shape. I told you, every cute girl in this game is going to be a magical girl, is going to be a gigalomaniac. That's just the rules. I knew she would, like, as soon as she got that bangle, I'm like, okay, she's probably gonna get her own weapon, too. In the blink of an eye, it took shape. It resembled a cross far more than the object that had previously held Nanami. Now, it could be that maybe she artificially became a gigalomaniac. She's been held here, and they, like, turned her into one. But I have a feeling that she has been brainwashed, and maybe she's gonna just go nuts on Rimi. Or perhaps it was a sword which had pierced itself perpendicularly as if rejecting all. And I was like, that cross looks like a sword. It looks like a D sword.
これはディソード返してよお願い
And Nanami, as if embracing it, held it close to her chest. Tears born from all the sadness within her fell upon it. Her D-sword flickered scarlet as if one with her pulse.
ないとリミさんのこと許さないそんなナナちゃんもキガロマニアックスだったの 今日だけはナナのわがまま受け
And
止め
obviously,
てよ。
this one has both her hands, so she's yeah, so she's fine. This one is like, this one's got to be a delusion, right? It's not the real Nanami. I don't know what to think. I saw Nanami crying. She was hanging her head low, and while she was trying her best to hold them in, tears ran down her pained face all the same. I took one look at her, and then I returned my gaze to the ceiling, resuming my mission of counting the rusted spots.
抜かれたって僕には何もできないよ。僕は妄想の存在なんだから。妄想の。
そんなこと言わないでよ。お兄が妄想のはずないじゃん。だってナナは小さい頃のお兄のこと知ってるもん。いつもナナに世話かけさせて、ちっとも頼りにならないけど、でもお兄は昔からずっとナナと一緒だったよ。
Wait, she was right. It was just as she'd said. Oh, I had memories from when Nanami was little. Now I don't know what to believe. Is this the real Nanami, or did they just implant her with memories that he has? I don't know. I had memories from my childhood. I had memories of watching the news reporting on the bus accident my classmates had been in, the one that had happened on the field trip I hadn't been able to go to. I even remembered my teacher, Mr. Saito, who had passed away in the accident. The words of Rimi, a total stranger, or the words of Nanami, who I'd grown up with. It went without saying which to believe. The right person to believe wasn't Rimi. The right person to believe was Nanami. If Nanami was real, that meant that I too was real.
ななみ。
I extended my hand toward her. Nanami's existence was my one and only hope. The sole existence that was here. He just relies on girls to be like, yeah, help me justify my existence. Please help me.
助けて。ななみ。助けて。
If Nanami's warmth was real, then I could prove that I was real too. Nanami, who had been crying from loneliness, wiped away her tears, looked at me with her reddened eyes, smiled at me, and stabbed me, smiled at me with her tearful smile, and...
抱きしめてくれる？
This almost feels like a trap. I nodded, then again, then once more. By doing so, if I could save Nanami, by doing so, I could save myself. I would gladly hug this bratty little sister of mine, no matter the time or place. I would hug my one and only sister in the world, the one that shared my blood.
ななみ。助けて。
I wanted to feel her warmth as soon as I could, and so, opening my arms to welcome her into my chest, I prepared to hug her. Tightly, ever so tightly.
お兄、
Yeah, something's gonna happen here. The way that they're building it up, but right at that very moment. What? Oh no. Nanami's body was enveloped in a faint light, and she burst into countless blue particles. That's the same thing that happened to that guy that got attacked by Senna last time when he was going after Yua, right? Damn, they had me fooled for a second too. I was like, oh, maybe she is. Maybe she's the real Nanami, but of course not. One after another, the particles burst like bubbles in the air in which my arms remained extended, never receiving the hug I so desired. My chest never feeling the warmth I so It feels like this world is just pushing him to the brink. I feel like that's what they're doing. They're basically torturing him for some reason. Right before my very eyes, Nanami had vanished. With only her left hand, Nishijo Nanami tightly embraced the D-sword that had been born of her own blood. Her right arm, meanwhile, only lay upon it. Her blood, seeping from the bandage on her right wrist, slowly ran down the sword's fuller.
痛い。知ってたの？ナナちゃんがギガロマニアックスだって。
Wait, when I talked about, like, who has the Garo Froggy, it was Nanami. Oh shit, yeah, when they, like, there was the girl froggy in that guy's office was like, oh, who would have thought that you were a gigalomaniac? Okay. That answers that question. Rimi's question was directed at Norose, who had evidently chosen to remain a spectator. No matter how much Rimi glared his way, he always retained the same composed look on his face.
偶然の産物というものですよ。
ナナちゃんにひどいことしたくせに何が偶然なの。
君の時のような苦労はしませんでした。我が社にはすでに覚醒させるためのマニュアルが確立していますから。
Okay, so that is it. Basically torture them until they awaken, and that seems to be what they're doing to but they're like they're just mentally torturing Takumi instead of physically tormenting him.
もっとも西条匠にだけはそのマニュアルも通
Okay,
用
so
し
that's
ま
why
せ
they're
ん。
doing things differently with him.
イレギュラーな化け物は扱いづらいことこの上ない。
化け物だなんて言わないで。
君も化け物だからですか。
そういう話はしてない。
虚無から生まれたものだからと言い換えた方が良かったですね。
Averting her gaze, Rimi bit her lip in frustration. Her trembling had yet to cease. In direct opposition to her wish to save Nanami, her legs refused to move. It was as if they had taken root inside the floor. Norose, meanwhile, caressed Nanami's head almost lovingly, acting as if he were under no threat whatsoever. Nanami had no reaction to this. She simply hung her head low as she repeatedly drew shallow breaths.
闇のある一点だけを灯しているスポ
So
ッ
they're saying
トライ
that
ト。
Rimi was someone born from nothing, like she shouldn't exist? Or is it that Takumi is something born from nothing?
その周囲には無数の死体が転がっているのでしょうが、誰にも見
She
えな
did
い。
say something about like how she just met him
君自身にも
not
で
that
す。
long ago. Like maybe she did just appear into the world, and there's the whole thing about like when Misumi was like, "Hey, when did we become friends? Like we started hanging out with Rimi basically like a month and a half ago. But what happened before that? How did we become friends?"
そんな話。
例えば君が自殺をしたら、スポットライトは数十センチ横にずれて君を闇で覆ってくれるでしょう。そして何も知らない別の誰かが代わりにスポットライトを浴びる。
Prompted by Rimi's sharp tone, Norose shrugged his shoulders, then returned to silence.
痛い。ナナちゃんを解放してほしいんだけど。
拘束は解きましたが、
連れて帰る。
構いませんよ。もう用済みです。
ナナちゃん、帰ろう。その件は消して。だったらバングル返して。返すから。
Rimi knew where Nana's hand was being kept on that day, on the night Nanami's hand had been delivered to Takumi's room. After Takumi had collapsed from sheer humiliation on the roof of O-Front, Rimi had retrieved the hand from within the refrigerator. Ah! Shogun was the one who had it now. It was in cold storage to keep it from decomposing. The bangle, too, was. Okay, so I don't know if I mentioned this before. Maybe, maybe not. But based on the fact that Rimi was in that hospital room with Shogun, and there was that room that said, like, you know, Takumi Nishijo was in the room, I'm guessing that the Shogun is actually, like, the real Takumi. And somehow he's just been... I don't know how he got, like, so emaciated. Like, he looks like a child, but like an old man. Maybe they were doing horrible things to him to try and unlock his abilities. I don't know. And then, like, Rimi's working with Shogun, who's actually the real Takumi, because why would Shogun want the hand and the bangle?
お兄からもらったの。ナナのだよ。バングル。勝手に持って行って。ひどいよ。
Nanami's voice, which had only been speaking in incoherent mumbles, was gradually growing more and more
落
intense.
ち着いて深呼吸して。自分をしっかり持って。
一つ聞きますが、
Norose's sudden interruption elicited a click of Rimi's tongue, though only in her mind.
西条匠にとっては 君たち二人のうちどちらがより重要度が高い存在ですか？
Rimi cast her eyes downward,
リミさんなんか
while Nanami instead raised her head. A sparkle returned to her once empty eyes. A glaring, brilliant shine, one that warranted only a single descriptor: abnormal. In a panic, Rimi frantically attempted to brace herself, only to be frozen in place by the sudden darkness. It was as if all the lights had been turned off. Rimi had no way of knowing whether it had been intentional or accidental.
負けちゃったね
Rimi whispered so, in an attempt to encourage herself. Her voice made the air undulate, but it melded itself into the dark before long. She then noticed she could no longer hear Noah 2's growling rumbles. I hate the dark. It always reminds me of back then. Rimi tried looking around, but all she could see was darkness spread through every corner. No speck of the concept known as light existed. Oh, is it going to be cool? Are they going to be doing like a fight in the dark? Only the light from their swords will be shining. Could she not see because it was dark? Or could it perhaps be because her sight was not working properly? She had even lost the ability to tell up from down. She could not tell where she was anymore. Her 5 senses had been eroded by darkness, and now her body was unable to recognize anything. As if her body had been turned into a gas. Well, they did say that they can, Noah or whatever this group is, they can affect the 5 senses, right? So they could have just basically screwed her up so she can't do anything. As if her consciousness had slipped away from its vessel. Past and present fused as one, and Rimi's memories began to intermix. When was now? When was the past? Oh, okay. Then, in the world ruled only by sheer darkness, a single ray of light shone down. And there, within that circular spotlight, was Rimi cradling her knees close to her chest. Rimi was seeing this very scene from within the darkness. The same as back then. Back then. Rimi had nothing. Before she knew it, she had been confined and tortured. But, rather than anything physical, the psychological pain she suffered had been far greater. A daily life born from the depths of hell. A daily life consisting solely of enduring. How she had been before that, Rimi did not know. When and how had she been confined? For how long had she been tortured? That Rimi did not know, but something told her this was not due to memory loss. The moment she suddenly opened her eyes, a consciousness known as herself had been born, or so she felt. That seems to happen a lot. There's like the doubles. There's Aise, like there's the 2 parts of her that we saw. There's Yua in a way because she had her twin sister, and now there's like 2 Rimis, basically. And then we got the 2 Nanamis, the real one and the delusion. Then we've got the Takumis. We've got the one that was just born, and we have the actual one. Perhaps the one inhabiting this body before her, unable to escape from all the pain, had ended her own life within her delusions. And then, perhaps, as a new her, a new personality, the current Rimi had been born. Perhaps there had been countless other hers before her. Even the name Sakihata Rimi may have been different each time. To myself, I don't exist. Something moved amid the darkness. Rimi stood up, then slowly began to move toward it. And as she moved, so did the spotlight. And what she found was a dead Rimi lying on the ground. Without ever looking at Rimi, a whisper flowed from Rimi's
あな
mouth.
たは
Oh shit.
何番目
So there are multiple ones of probably maybe each character when they're tortured? Huh?
私は
Okay. Okay. Rimi's eyeballs twitched incessantly, and endless amount of tears ran down from the corners of her eyes. Her D-sword slipped from her hands, and Rimi sank to the floor. Much like a child would, she covered her face with her hands, and weakly shook her head. I'm sorry. I couldn't do it. Nanami stared at her with a vacant look on her face, while Norose let out a short, disinterested snort. Nanami had vanished without a trace. She had turned into bubbles before my very eyes. Her substance had simply ceased to exist.
どこだよ。出てきてよ。 いるんだろう。また、いたずらか。隠れてるん
Oh
だ。
god, this is so creepy to listen
や
to.
めろよ。
My vision grew blurry from my tears. No matter how many times I wiped them away, the lukewarm droplets kept pouring out. But both this warmth and the feelings making me shed these tears were delusions. I myself was one after all. Nanami had been a delusion. I'd been stupid to believe it would all be okay. My hopes had been crushed just like that.
で、いつこの妄想って冷めるの？早く冷めてよ。
Not even I knew who I was talking to, but right now I was fine with anyone. I just wanted to be heard.
この妄想が冷めたら、僕は本当はイケメンなんだ。そうに決まってる。物分かりのいい妹と優しい姉がいるんだ。かわいい彼女と付き合ってて、その子はリミとかセナみたいな電波女じゃなくて、セーラさんみたいないい子なんだ。
あなたは妄想の存在なんだよ。
Groveling on the floor, I buried my head in the mountain of trash and tightly gripped Seraton. I tried my best to avert my eyes from reality as I pounded the floor with my fists, but I couldn't. Rimi's words pummeled my mind relentlessly.
死にたい。死にたいよ。どうして誰も僕を殺してくれないんだ。ねえ、セーラタン殺して、僕を殺して。
そんなに死にたいの？
死にたい。こんなのもう嫌だ。自分の存在が嫌だ。何も考えたくない。生きていたくない。
かわいそうなタッキー。だったらすぐに殺される方法を教えてあげる。
Ah, this is why you're my waifu. Seraton always devoted herself to me, commendably so.
とりあえず外に出るさ。
Oh, is she gonna tell him to jump off the building?
外に。
Doing as I was told, I stood up and headed for the door, and then after nearly tripping and falling over trash countless times, I exited my base. I had no need to question her. Seraton would never betray me. She was my waifu after all. And she wasn't 3D. Once I was outside, a strange sound hit my ears. This sound, hadn't I heard it somewhere before?
この音を追いかけて。
追いかけたら殺してもらえるの？
そういうこと。
優しく殺してもらえるかな？
私が保証するよ。
よかった。やっと死ねる。
Wouldn't it be wild if someone did actually just kill him and that was the end? And then we just reset. The sound was my messiah, the bell of salvation that would grant me passage to the promised land. With Seraton in hand, I set off toward the sound. Whenever I got close to the sound, it would move farther away, almost like it was guiding me somewhere. Every time I seemed to be onto it, it would quickly become distant. Every time I seemed to lose track of it, it would come close and wait for me, as though it had a will of its own. A sound with a will of its own. It reminded me of Shogun's existence. His face flashed through my mind, but I quickly grew indifferent to it. So is it either leading me to where Rimi is right now, or I don't know where. Whether it was him or someone else, as long as someone killed me, I didn't mind. I even stopped wondering about the true nature of the sound. I was a delusionary existence, and I was going to die pretty soon, so there was no point in caring. With my head completely empty of all thoughts, like a moth to a flame, I staggered after the sound. A barrage of noise now surrounded me. I was unable to differentiate any of them. With the click of my tongue, I tried to find the origin of the clamor, only to gulp instead. Suddenly, without me having realized it, I was standing in Scramble Crossing. It was then I realized the clamor was coming from the sheer number of people crammed into the crossing. It was almost jam-packed. Everyone was pushing right up against each other like a morning train ride during rush hour. Compared to when I'd been broadcasted from the top of O-Front, there was an even bigger number of people here. Now that I thought about it, Grimm had mentioned something about this. Something about there being a festival at Scramble Crossing tonight. Is it to, like, are they here to witness my death? And like Grimm, I'm guessing maybe that's someone working with Noah to guide me to things, like showing me stuff about the murders to, I don't know, make me lose my mind. Do they either want me to unlock my Gigalomaniac abilities, or do they want to kill me, but they can't actually kill me because I'm not supposed to exist, so they want to make me kill myself? I don't know. What the hell is this, Sarah? I had nothing but horrible memories of this place. Why did you bring me here? Ooh, okay. I can't remember which one I had last time for revenge. I'm gonna go positive. I can't remember what I did last time. Where is the person who's gonna kill me, Sarah? The tremendous crowd on this cold autumn night. Just what kind of festival could make so many people gather here to the point of there being no room to breathe? Everyone was focused on me. I braced myself for it to happen again, being verbally abused, laughed at, humiliated. My legs froze as I recalled the trauma from back then. And yet... The onlookers' reactions were different from last time. Rather than insults, everyone was hitting me with kind words of encouragement. I was so confused I had to blink a few times. Were they cheering me on? Before me, a pathway showed itself in the center of a crowd of people. They formed an arch with their arms, urging me to go through. It was like an elementary school graduation. Past the many arms was the entrance to O-Front, and so I nervously started heading toward it. As I walked, words of comfort were thrown my way without end. Once I stepped inside O-Front, even the Tatsuya and Starbricks employees greeted me with applause. Courage gradually came to me. Courage to finally die. The rooftop of O-Front was just as dark as last time. I gulped. Reminded of what had transpired the last time I'd come here, I hesitated to move any farther for a moment. Even after gathering all that courage, I was made painfully aware of how much of a pussy I truly was. No matter what happened, that would never change. Oh, okay, Shogun's here. Suddenly, a wheelchair creaked. And together with that noise, just like he had last time, Shogun showed himself. He was wearing the Darth Spider helmet today as well. But Shogun wasn't the only one here. Oh shit. Okay, what in the world?
Nishijo-kunのおかげで私も勇気をもらいました。君はとても崇高だわ、Takumi.
Senna, Kozupi, Yua, and Ayase, all of them stood in a line, smiling at me.
一緒に飛ぶわ、私たち。
Oh shit, it's like the group dive again, except I don't think they're real. Pretty sure not real. On both sides of me, Kozupi and Ayase took one of my hands each, but it wasn't just us that held hands. Sana and Yua joined us too. All 5 of us stood hand in hand. Was this a recreation of the group dive? The crowd down below watching us with bated breath clapped in unison. It was as if they were giving us their blessing, extolling us.
さようなら。君のことは忘れないよ。
Shogun waved us goodbye with his slender hand. Then, Kozupi and Ayase pulled me in, as if they were inviting me to frolic with them, as if they were inviting me to dance with them, all while they had the most gentle smiles on their faces. And so, without feeling even an ounce of fear, I, ever so smoothly, was able to dance away into the air. Okay. Alrighty, such thoughts came to mind. How wonderful would it be if I could die such a happy death? And yet, in the end, it too had been a delusion. The path of people in front of me was real. The path that seemed to guide me forward, but no one was making an arch with their arms. I can see people right behind them doing that. Everyone looked at me, but their eyes were cold and sharp, staring daggers at me with what felt close to murderous intent. Everyone was out for blood. No one had been waiting for me. No one had given me their blessing. All the energy they'd had back when I humiliated myself atop O-Front was gone. The reality was I probably wouldn't be able to die a happy death. But I'd already expected that, even before all this. Even so, it didn't matter to me. As long as I died, it didn't matter. As long as someone killed me, it didn't matter. So, I laughed and laughed. I walked through the path between the people. When I looked up, I realized all 4 of the enormous jumbotrons were showing footage of me walking through the crowd. I was sure that, just like last time, this was a national broadcast too. If the viewer rate was even 40%, I would die while being watched by approximately 48 million people. The death of me who was no more than a delusionary existence. The death of me who had no value whatsoever. The death of me who was wholly and entirely worthless. Is that what you all want to see? Well then, congratulations. Here you go. It doesn't matter either way to me. As long as I die, I don't care how many people see it. And so I stood before the battery of cameras and microphones. A swarm of flashes burst in unison. Blinding lights flashed intermittently. Straining my eyes, I fought to endure them. Okay, come on. I hope it didn't freeze. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I think it froze. And of course at this moment too, where it just seems like, okay, it's just going on for a long time. Nope. Damn it. I gotta reload. Then a reporter that was probably in his 40s spoke up. I had seen him on a number of talk shows before.
Nishijo-kun, 今回はどんなパフォーマンスを見せてくれるんだい？ところで、実は今日の昼に逮捕された貼り付け事件の容疑者は実行犯に過ぎなくて黒幕がいるっていう話があるんだけど、どう思うかな？
Why was this random guy acting all buddy-buddy with me? And what was that last part supposed to mean? Was he asking for my opinion? Huh, I guess when the media called up the criminal psychology professors every time, they always said the same standard uninteresting bullshit. Even an amateur like me could serve as a replacement. Regardless, I couldn't have any less of an opinion on what the guy was asking about. I had lost all interest in NewGen. I'd come here to be killed, not to answer questions. I had no energy for it.
それでね、西条君、ズバリ聞くけど、真犯人と目される人物は通称その目誰の目と言われていて、それは君なんじゃないかっていう噂があるんだよね。
そうかもね。
My whispers were broadcast all throughout Shibuya via the Jumbotron speakers. Commotion ensued. The bloodthirsty atmosphere got even stronger among the people gathered here. Just kill me already. Set me free. Stop asking me for things. And yet, despite my wishes, the microphones came even closer. They were pushed so violently toward me, the next step would be shoving one straight in my mouth. The other reporters, too, were raining questions down on me incessantly.
それは事件への関与を認める発言って考えていいんですか？
現実とゲームとの区別ができなくなるような経験はありますか？
逮捕された狛江容疑者との関係について聞かせてください。
人を殺したのはやはりゲーム感覚だったりします？
In a sense, I was like a video game character. Someone, please reset me. Just get me to game over, once and for all. Hey, buddy, I'm trying to get you through the end of this one so we can hopefully do better next time.
早く殺してよ。
As soon as those words left my mouth, the crowd, at the peak of its tension, exploded.
死ね
人でなし鬼畜
殺してやるよ
地獄に落ちろ
死刑にしろぶち殺せ殺人鬼
I was overwhelmed by the waves of people, and as the screams and shouts swarmed, I was swallowed up by the undulating masses. I was tossed around and jostled, crushed to nothing, and pulverized. Being shoved by people in all directions, my body started floating. My souls left the ground. No matter how much I struggled, I couldn't do anything. I was struck on the head, punched in the arms, but none of it was painful enough to kill me. With no room to breathe, I started to suffocate, but I didn't resist. I entrusted my body to the chaos, and in doing so, the pressure suddenly disappeared, and my body fell to the floor. Seroton fell from my hand and toppled onto the asphalt. Countless feet lined up like trees in a forest, and as they writhed about, my waifu rolled through the gaps between them. Despite extending my hand, I couldn't reach her. Her face complete with that endlessly radiant smile of hers, the smile that soothed my soul, was stepped on by someone. Shoot, what if this was the moment Sarah getting crushed by someone? That is the moment that awakens his T-sword. Oh my god, please let that happen. That'd be hilarious. Her small body was kicked farther away, and some lady in red high heels ended up crushing her torso.
Sarah?
No matter how much I called out to her, no answer came. My one and only ally was gone. It felt like my chest was being crushed by sorrow. I had lost all reason to stay in this world, to live. And when I looked up, surrounded by people as I was, even the night sky was hidden away from me. No one noticed I was there, slumped down on the ground. Even though I was right here, even though I was asking for someone to kill me, why was everyone ignoring me?
Oh.
Suddenly, I felt it right on the nape of my neck. That tingling sensation. God's gaze.
君は
And within my mind,
ここで死んじゃダメだ。
a certain voice rang. I gulped.
理想度を手に
Oh
入
my
れて
gosh. He's... Okay, it's not in direct relation to Sarah being crushed, but still close enough that I still find that kind of funny. And firmly gritted my back teeth.
Shogun!
I searched for that wheelchair among the crowd, for that bastard cosplaying as Darth Spider. So, you were the one behind this festival, huh? I knew it. Are you planning to wheel out here and threaten me, all while you're in your offensive Dark Spider cosplay? You trying to recreate what happened last time? I wished for death the entire time I've been alive. I'd just been some tool for everyone's amusement, and I couldn't take it anymore.
あの時の自称将軍は僕じゃない。僕はコスプレはしないよ。
I don't care. Just kill me, please. So that was Sua, obviously.
あいつらが動き出しているんだ。この場は今以上の混乱になるよ。
They?
すべての黒幕。この混乱を引き起こした者たち。混乱を利用して利己を追求しようとする者たち。彼らを止められるのは君だけなんだ。
I stood up. The angry voices kept surging above my head. No one was looking at me. The onlookers and the people from the media were all jumbled together, grabbing each other, cursing at each other, punching each other. Why were they...
沈黙の兵器。ノア2はすでに稼働してる。この混乱が起とされた一番の目的は、無差別人体実験。
Something hard hit my head. A sharp pain ran through me, a pain so intense I thought my skull had been broken. My hands automatically shot up to my head, cradling it. As I looked around with tears in my eyes, I found a rock on the ground the size of a fist. A tiny smear of blood colored part of it. Someone had thrown that rock, and it had hit me. Throbbing pain coursed through me. Moving my hand toward the source, my fingers touched something sticky. Bringing my hand down in front of my face, I saw blood on my fingertips. My own blood. Maybe this is him being like, I might be a delusion, but I can still feel pain and I can feel things. I heard a dry explosion in the distance, followed by a lady screaming. A gunshot? There were people with guns here? Why was everyone so worked up? Why was everyone fighting each other despite being total strangers? Those guys with the backpacks, the rucksacks are here, right? Just like having everyone go insane. Why was this so chaotic? The villain's sacrifice everyone was waiting for wasn't mine?
渋谷の GE レートバイオリズムがありえないくらいに上昇してるんだよ言ったでしょ無差別人体実験だ
Do I need to get my D sword? Because none of the girls are here. I have to be the one. Maybe I get my D sword and I take these guys on, slash their rucksacks, and I, like, stop them from emitting whatever. I don't know if it's like some sort of ultrasonic thing that just sends people into a frenzy, but I gotta stop these guys.
この場にいる人たちは今見えない攻撃を受けているんだ
Then I heard a sound, a creaking, rusty sound. A sound akin to a dying woman gasping for air. The sound of a wheelchair. Despite how many people there were, despite the wall of people surging erratically, Shogun moved his wheelchair forward. And without bumping into anyone, without getting dragged into a single fight, he made his way straight to me. Ever so small, with a body of skin and bone, he was covered in wrinkles and looked so frail, it was as if he might break at the slightest touch. His eyes were cloudy as could be. I didn't know what he was looking for, or looking at, nor what he saw through those eyes. I couldn't bring myself to look away anymore. Suddenly, the tumult surrounding me began to grow distant.
ずっと君を見ていたよ
It was the same voice as the time we had first met. It wasn't that strange voice I had heard at Overrun.
君は誰なの僕は
I knew it.
君だよ
Yep, I knew it. And with those few words, I finally understood.
僕を妄想して生み出したのも神の自然の正体も君だったんだね
He was my creator, the existence who had envisioned me within a delusion, someone who I could never hope to match up to.
君の名前は西条匠
The real me, the original me.
君はいくつなの君と同い年だよ君の設定とね
17 years old, even though he was so small, even though he was covered in wrinkles, he was only 17 years old. So they were talking about how, like, the regular means of doing, like, of a torturing, basically, didn't work on Takumi, so they must have really put him through the ringer to have him look like that at 17.
このままだと世界が死んじゃうノア2に
So he
あらゆる
created
人の
me
心
in
は支
order
配
to
され
save
ち
the
ゃう
world. To awaken me. That's why he keeps saying you have to awaken in order to save the world.
だから君に託したんだ
Entrusted. Entrusted what exactly? Then meanwhile, he just watches his delusion basically just bap to hentai and watch anime and play games all day. And he's just like, oh my god, this is the guy that has to save the world. This is the delusion I created. Just avoiding responsibility.
意味がわかんないよそんなの僕には関係ない頼むよ僕を消して今すぐに消してほしい
Shogun's wrinkles stirred. He was likely making an expression, but I couldn't see it as anything other than wrinkles shifting on his face.
全部僕のせいなんだ僕が IR2 を妄想しちゃったせいで
IR2.
なんとか止めようとしたけど僕はこんな体だから満足に動くこともできな
I
い
wonder if this is a thing because, like, Rimi asked her dead self about, like, which version are you? Which one are you? Like, what number? So I wonder if this isn't the first Takumi, because he said, like, he was just manifested, what, like, not that long ago, when he met Rimi. So I wonder if he's just kept trying to create delusions to save the world and they all kept failing?
それで君を生み出した君に止めてもらうために そんなの知らない。僕は君のコピーだけど、僕はやりたくない。コピーだけが苦しまなくちゃいけないなんて、そんなの嫌だ。死なせてよ。
君はコピーじゃない。もう一人の僕だ。
つまりコピーじゃないか。君のしてることはすごく残酷だ。
悪かったって思ってるよ。でも他に方法はなかった。今世界の命運は君にかかっていると言っても過言じゃないんだ。だから
そんなのリミに頼めばいいじゃないか。知り合いなんでしょ。
Acquaintances. I'd said that on purpose. I didn't want to think they were lovers or good friends. And so only then did I realize my feelings. I was jealous of the original me. That was rich, coming from a delusionary existence. What a fucking disgrace. I couldn't believe myself. There was not knowing your place, and then there was this. My own feelings made me want to throw up. My emotions continued to spiral. I wanted to die.
リミはナナミを助けに行って逆に捕まっちゃったんだ。
Oh, so maybe I'm the only one who I have to go save Nanami. So I have my chance to redeem myself for not rescuing her the first time.
リミはね、僕を救おうとしてくれていた。その理由は君も知っているよね。
Because we're friends, right?
あれは空。あの空はどうしてあんなに泣きたくなるくらい青いのかな。
それを望んだから。
私は望んでない。
僕が望んだんだ。ここは君の心象世界であると同時に僕の心象世界でもあるから。
Mimi turned toward me. She stared at me, her face deeply puzzled.
あなた誰？ここには私以外はいないはずなのに。あなたは別の私？
違うよ。
だったら誰？どうやってここに来たの？私の心の中だよ。ずっと暗闇しかなかった。光は私に当たるスポットライトだけ。それなのにあなたが来た途端に暗闇がなくなって空ができた。
妄想がシンクロしたんだ。君の力がとても強かったから。
そう。
Rimi looked up toward the sky once more. It was a crystal clear azure sky.
私、本物の空、見たことないんだ。私っていう人格が生まれた時にはね、もう暗い部屋に閉じ込められてた。心の中も外も闇しかなかった。そこからは絶対に出してもらえないの。私今死のうとしてたんだ。心を自殺させるの。きっとこれまでの私もそうしてきたと思うし。でもせっかくあなたが空を持ってきてくれたから、この光景を記憶に刻んでおいていいかな。次の私がまたこうして想像できるように。
死にたいの？
うん。
本当の空を見てみたいとは思わないの？
ねえ、空って本当にあるのかな？
あるよ。でも現実の空はこの空よりも汚れてる。
どこにある？あの空はどこにあるの？
君が望めばどこにでも。
望んでいいの？
もちろんだよ。
どうやって望むの？
光は電磁場の波。その振動現象を人の視覚は色として捉えるんだ。自分のデッドスポットに望む色を当てはめてごらん。そうすれば君の望む世界の色を作り出せる。世界は君の望みに応えてくれるよ。
Several days, even months perhaps, had passed since that encounter, and one day Rimi had come to my hospital room. She and I were fellow patients at the same hospital, fellow possessors of something that transcended human understanding, the power of gigalomania, an attribute we were unsure whether to abhor or take great pride in.
お
Okay,
兄、お
finally
客さん
getting
だよ。
some backstory to this.
ねえねえ、誰？彼女さん、いつの間に？やるね、お兄ってば。また会えたね。
She was deeply haggard. Her skin was morbidly pale. Her hair was dry and neglected, growing according to its own whims. Her fingernails were cracked. Her eyes constantly squinted as if dazzled by a brilliant light.
本物の空は見られた？
So I don't. If Nanami is here in the hospital and Shogun looks like that, Shogun, aka Takumi, is no one gonna comment about the fact that he looks? Does he actually look like that to Nanami? He looks all like haggard and wrinkled and small.
うん。あ、そうだ。
Nanami, who had been watching us talking, suddenly clapped her hands in apparent remembrance.
ナナ、お洗濯してこなくちゃ。リミさんでしたっけ？どうぞごゆっくり。
Nanami left the room. Rimi and I vacantly watched her depart. Rimi then turned back toward me.
匠はいつから入院してるの？
5年ぐらい。
退院の予定は？
ないよ。僕の余命は
Okay.
あと2年ぐらいだと思うし。
So I think Takumi, he's 17, right? And that's what he said. Yeah, he said he's 17. So here he'd be 15 because I think he went to the hospital when he was 10. So he dies at 17. So he's like, he has to create that delusion to save the world before he dies, I guess.
私はあなたのおかげで頑張ることができた。終わりなんて絶対にないと思ってた。でもあなたが教えてくれた空を見るまで頑張ろうと思った。そしたら急に外に出してもらえた。用済みになったって言った方が正しいかもしれないけど、
そう。
私はあなたに救われたの。だから今度は私があなたの力になりたい。
そんなの気にしなくていい。わざわざ僕に会いに来なくてもいいよ。君にはこれから普通に生きてほしい。
普通の生き方なんてわからないから。
Rimi's past, Rimi's feelings, Rimi's resolve. My chest tightened as I remembered them all.
なんでリミは僕に近づいてきたの？
彼女は君の近くにいることで、君の行動、君に接触してくる人間のことを監視して、君を覚醒させないようにしていたんだ。彼女を恨まないであげて。彼女はただ おせっかいなだけなんだ。
A tinge of sadness appeared in Shogun's
巻き
voice.
込みたくなかったのに。彼女は僕がどれだけ止めても聞いてくれなかった。勝手に僕に恩義なんか感じて、本当におせっかいだよ。
リミとナナミは誰に捕まってるの？
プロジェクトノアの責任者。すべての黒幕。野呂瀬源一。かつてリミを捕らえて拷問していた男でもある。それなのにリミはナナミと僕と、そして君を助けるためにあの男のところへたった一人で乗り込んでいっちゃった。
A voice echoed within my head. It uttered the words of a Rimi I didn't know. Words she had spoken to Shogun.
リミ？
私、実は、ちょっとした報告があります。
Okay, this was when she had just told me that I was delusion and she went to go save Nanami.
ナナちゃんを、これから助けに行こうと思って。
やめるんだ。君はあの男、ノロ瀬とはもう会いたくないでしょ？
私って信用されてないな。平気だってば。
Yeah, that's right. We heard her side of it, but not the other side of the phone call.
昔の話だしね。そもそも、私の感情とナナちゃんを助けることと、どっちを優先させるかなんて決まりきってることだよ。
ナナミを助けるのも、プロジェクトノアを止めるのも、僕のやるべきことだ。君は、そこまでしなくていいんだよ。
言ったでしょ。私は、あなたの力になりたいって。それに、タクには、関わらせたくないの。
おせっかいだね。
そうかもね。あなたにしか言われたことはないけど。ねえ、ちょっとだけ語っちゃっていいかな。タクにね、いろいろひどいこと言っちゃったんだ。しかもそんなことしておいてすごく自分勝手なんだけど、私彼と一緒に過ごした時間はとっても楽しかったって思っちゃってるんだ。何もかもが妄想でまみれたまやかしでしかなかったのに、学生生活もあの学校に私やタクが通っていることも、大地と友達だっていうことも、私がタクと一緒にいようとしたことも、タクの存在そのものも、タクってどうしようもないくらい情けなくて、どうしようもないくらい弱くて、きっと普通の女だったら見向きもしないような男の子なんだよ。なのに私の心には楽しかったっていう気持ちがあるの。なのに私の心にはもっと一緒にいたかったっていう気持ちがあるの。この気持ちって何なのかな。
インプリンティングのようなものかもしれないね。
I haven't had a tip in a while. Imprinting, the automatic assumption present in some animals in which a newborn child recognizes the first thing it sees is its parent. This can occur even if the parent is of a different species than the child. Even after imprinting occurs, it is possible to force a child to change who they recognize as their parent by presenting them with a substitute.
本能っていうことかな。それって意外とロマンチックかも。
君が楽しかったなら、きっと彼も楽しかったと思うよ。
そうだといいな。私はタクと似たようなものだから。
I don't think this was part of the conversation that I heard.
肉体が妄想から作られた存在。
Definitely not. I don't think so.
人格が妄想から作られた存在と、どっちも変わらないでしょ。だからタクのこと消したくなかった。消さなくちゃダメだって思ってたんだけどね。でも いつの間にか感情移入しちゃったみたい。タクにはごく普通に暮らしていってもらいたいの。私はタクミもタクも助けたい。ねえ、タクのことはそっとしておいてあげて。
そういうわけにはいかない。ノア2を破壊するために彼は必要だよ。
私が何とかするから。
君はそんなことしなくていい。君こそごく普通に暮らしていくべきだ。
さてと、そろそろ切るね。
リミ、やめて。
本当に大丈夫だって。あなたは何も心配しないで。私が全部決着をつけてくるから。ね、たくみ。
After it was already too late, Rimi's words sank into my heart. She really was a hopeless meddler. Why did she have to keep fighting so hard? Why did she have to keep acting so selflessly?
私はタクの味方だから。
Memories of Rimi all came back to me. Memories of the short time we'd spent together until now. Memories of the feelings that had been hidden behind every word she'd said.
私が一緒にいてあげる。
Over the past year and a half, if I had to summarize what I'd done, it'd mostly be ESO, RMT, and Eroge. I devoted myself entirely to those things, all while staying shut inside my base. I'd barely gone to school, and I rarely tried to talk to anyone. Born into this world, I lived as though I were dead. But for the past month or so, that had changed. And even though as a result of this, I'd been lied to.
朝、一緒に学校行って。
She had stayed by the side of someone like me.
学校では休み時間にどうでもいいこと話して。
She had given me peace of mind when I was quivering in fear.
お昼休みは一緒にご飯食べて。
She had supported the failure that I was, encouraged me.
夕方、一緒に帰って。
Alright, this is gonna be the moment right here where he's gonna unlock the D-Sword, right? He finally has a purpose. He's gonna save Rimi and Nanami, now that he knows the truth. Then at the end of the day, we'll head back. I'm okay. She had embraced me.
帰るついでに、たまにどこかのお店に寄ったりして。
She had taught a delusionary existence like me the warmth that humanity held.
タクの部屋で、ちょっとだけおしゃべりして。
She could have erased me, and yet she tried to protect me.
それで、また明日ねって手を振って別れて。
She had made memories with me.
そんなのでいいなら、私、いくらでもしてあげるよ。
In my 1.5-year-long life, I could still vividly remember the time I'd spent with her, even now.
そういうの、結構憧れなんだ。
Rimi's little gestures, Rimi's scent wafting from her hair, Rimi's little sighs and the sound that came from them, Rimi's glimmering eyes, Rimi's cheerful voice, Rimi's tender warmth. Ah, I see. I was in love with Rimi. How disgusting was that? What a freak. A wry smile crept onto my face in response to my own creepiness. A delusionary existence falling in love? Were feelings of love something that a delusionary existence could feel? Or were they a mere illusion? I really didn't know, but I wanted to be true to these feelings. Rimi saw me as a friend. There was no way she saw me as someone of the opposite sex. Besides, an otaku freak like me wouldn't go well together with her. But even so, even if she didn't love me back, even if it was just for my own satisfaction, even if I was just a delusionary existence, I at least wanted to do something for someone, for Rimi, before I disappeared. Hey, he's finally doing something selfless. I mean, the time that he went to go try and save Nanami at the O Tower, like, okay, there he was trying to help. But other than that, it's always been like, even when he wants to do something nice, it also feels like it's also for his like self-satisfaction as well. Maybe that's the case here, but like it's nice to see that maybe he's going to be brave and he's going to actually like do something instead of just waiting for other people to save him. It was disgusting that a disgusting otaku freak would fall in love. It was disgusting that a disgusting delusionary existence would fall in love. But so what? Even if it was disgusting, even if it wouldn't go anywhere, I didn't want to brush these feelings away as mere illusions and delusions. The memories of this past month were both Reimi's and mine, mutually recognized between us both. Even if the rest was just make-believe, these memories and the feelings born from them were real.
世界を救ってほしい。
So Shogun said. I shook my head.
僕は勇者じゃない。
Oh, God damn it.
人間でもない。
Come on, man. You just had this whole speech, please.
そんな僕に世界を救えとか。
The moment where he's like, I gotta do something
何を考えてるの？
before I die. Something for somebody.
君には本当に悪いと思ってるけど、君にやってもらうしかないんだ。
自分に謝るなんてバカみたいだ。
I glared at the real me. The real me caught the fake me's gaze.
僕は君が嫌いだ。
僕は君が羨ましいよ。
僕は世界のためになんか頑張らない。
Oh, he's like, I'm gonna do it for Reimi.
世界を救うとか、そんなことどうでもいい。
And Nanami, too? I'd be the one to give meaning to my birth.
ただ、僕は
And
リ
Nanami?
ミを
Your sister?
助け。
ありがとう。
The sounds around me started coming back. More and more oil was being poured onto the fires of chaos. It had already become a riot. I was hit with the smell of blood. Around me I heard the sounds of screams, shouts, moans, and a mechanical noise that sounded almost like audio feedback. It all pooled together and overflowed across the
理
crossing.
想度を手に入れる方法を教えて。
君はすでにそれを知っているはずだよ。
You almost got it before. My gaze moved upward, looking for the silhouette of a sword blending into the scenery. Rocks were thrown around, canisters of tear gas made smoke rise from the ground, and people from every direction crashed into me time and time again. In the center of it all, I focused and sought the sword I'd once seen from the roof of O-Front. It had to be visible already. Without a doubt, it had to be here, somewhere. Lost amid the scenery, my D-sword was always right beside me. Now, seize it.
見つけた。
Finally. Oh my gosh. On the building to the right of 107, there was a vertical billboard. When I looked toward it, I saw the shape of a sword. He just needed a reason. Apparently saving Nanami wasn't enough of a reason. Anxiety seeped into me. I swallowed back my saliva. When I had looked from the roof of O-Front, I'd been able to perceive its shape. But in the end, I hadn't been able to physically grasp it.
自分の意志を強く持つんだ。迷っちゃダメだからね。君にはもう剣を手に入れる資格は十分にある。
I extended my hand as I stood in place. In order to save someone dear to me, I had to get it. No matter what. No matter what. I gritted my teeth. This wouldn't be like last time. My mind was surprisingly calm. I wasn't afraid. I couldn't be afraid. But it wasn't that I was keeping a cool head. Emotions simmered and boiled inside me. I had something I needed to do.
掴むんだ。
107 was about 100 meters away, and upon overlapping with my fist with a sword, I grasped it. Yeah, it only took how many hours, but we did it. Even though I should have grabbed an empty spot in the air, there was something there. Like his own damn sister got a D-sword before him. It was neither hot nor cold, neither hard nor soft. Alright, let's see what it looks like. Keeping my hold on it, I drew it closer to me. Ripples surfaced across the air, and from within those ripples it slid free. Oh damn, okay, that's a big sword. All too long to be called a sword. delicate enough to shatter at a moment's notice. Like he's like, I can't even lift it. Pervaded with phantasmal elegance, lacking any meretricious features, absent of garishness. It's funny too, because you think him being the main character, he was gonna have like the most elaborate, coolest sword, but quite the opposite. Very ordinary like him. With an immaculate malice capable of swallowing one's soul whole. On which belonged an awe-inspiring beauty. Linking with my exalted heart, the design of the sinister flames on the handle flickered. I didn't feel even an ounce of weight. Rather, it was as if it was an extension of my arm, as though it had been there from the very beginning, as though it were a part of my own body. It didn't feel like I was holding a sword. So this was a D-sword. I grasped it firmly with both hands. I should have been able to real boot it now. If I got it to be mutually recognized by my surroundings, the sword would be brought forth into reality. As for how to do it, I didn't know. I simply desired it. I shouted within my heart for it to become reality. All hesitation within me was gone. The D-sword, as if answering my call, started faintly shining. The flame pattern on the hilt transformed into real flames. Flames which swiftly enveloped the sword, and yet I felt no heat. Soon enough, those flames were swallowed by the entirety of the sword's body, and he's like, and then I accidentally killed a bunch of people because it's so big. Together with a fierce impact, the D-sword shone with a crimson light. A number of people around me were surprised by my sword. However, it was only a handful of them. Only a handful were left dumbfounded by its appearance. The others were too focused on punching and kicking each other. The riots didn't seem to be stopping anytime soon.
この暴動を引き起こしているポーターたちを探すんだ。彼らの持つ機械を破壊すれば、バイオリズムの高騰も収まる。
ポーター。
ノア2の端末としての存在。君はすでにそのヒントを見てきたはずだよ。
So here's the thing, like, I don't know, it seems like the guy behind Noah 2, Norose, it seems like he wants to unlock Gigalomaniacs because I guess it helps in some way with the, I don't know if it's related to the GE rate, but at the same time, by unlocking these people, the Gigalomaniacs, but if they're trying to stop Noah from becoming a reality, it feels like it's a bad idea to unlock these people's abilities, and I guess then they start to fight back against it because they're the only ones who'd be able to stop Noah 2 from happening, right? I don't know.
君の頭の中に、それは記憶として刻まれている。
I called forth all that I had seen. Fly? Okay. Oh wow, this was like way back at the beginning. Okay, so yes, these are the flashbacks, that's why. Oh wow, to like see all this stuff happen in the past and like get, now we know the backgrounds of these characters. Zua, you shit.
そいつを掴んで離さねえようにしないとな。
辛いんですね。
有限会社新興。聞いたことあるかい？
How convenient that he happens to see all these things happen that he couldn't possibly have seen before. All information that he needs to take down Noah.
返して。ナナのバングル、返して。
地点 L2 の8、0.62 メガ GE、ハイスコアです。
どんな手品だ、こりゃ。
のぞみ。
我が社ではポーターと呼んでいます。言い換えればマインドコントロールのための部隊といったところでしょうか。
So now he knows exactly who to go for. All the things I'd unconsciously seen. All the thoughts I'd unconsciously read.
僕は盗撮野郎ってことか。お似合いだね。
Shogun calmly gave me orders as I left myself.
チャネルを解放してポーターたちの心を読むんだ。コズピーのようにね。彼らはこのスクランブル交差点のどこかにいる。居場所を探り当てて。
I opened my channel. I didn't have to think about what to do. Without being conscious of it, I enacted it by feel alone. And then the minds of everyone here, their negative emotions, became visible and instantly flowed into me. Malice, hatred, envy, lust, servility, cowardice, superficiality, corruption, cunning, indecency, hideousness, vulgarity, libido, madness, bloodthirst. It was the manifestation of the unsightly emotions people hid from one another, more brutal, unequivocal, and repugnant than words could ever be. All the negative emotions people held inside them became a torrent of images, and this torrent proceeded to swallow up, shatter, and violate my mind. I was verbally abused by words of disdain, gazes of contempt rained down on me. I was spat on. My nails were peeled off. I was punched in the face multiple times. I was kicked in the ass. My hair was torn out. My nose was chewed to shreds. My eyeballs were gouged out. My tongue was ripped from my mouth. My blood was sucked. I was showered with boiling water and covered with burns. I was raped in the ass. Damn, my genitals were crushed. All my skin was torn off. My arms were broken. All my bones were broken. I was beaten with a blunt weapon. I was stabbed with a blade. My organs were gouged out. My neck was strangled. My flesh was eaten by a giant beast. I was thrown off a high place. I drowned in a pool of water. I had my entire body burned by flames. Having synchronized with it all, my mind was being broken. I felt like I was about to go insane. I gritted my teeth and desperately held on to my consciousness. Was this how Kozupi had lived her whole life?
見るべき妄想をコントロールするんだ。すべてを受信しちゃダメだ。標的を絞り込んで音を頼りにするんだ。
Sound. All while enduring the negative emotions overwhelming me, I listened carefully. What came to me were voices from all around. Isolating them, I searched for the sound. I heard a mechanical sound. The one Seraton had said would kill me. The sound had also been inside the memories I'd gotten from reading minds. Senna had destroyed a porter's rucksack that had emitted the sound with her D-sword. So, if I were to focus on that sound, the delusion I heard... There were multiple voices. There were more than one porter here.
3人いるみたいだね。
Holding my breath, I took a step forward. In front of me was the chaotic crowd. Without a trace of order, they moved throughout the Scramble crossing as they pleased, beating each other within an inch of their lives. It would be difficult to go straight through. I hacked the delusions of the people in the direction of the target. And so little by little, the people in my field of view made way. And there a path was made for me. There was a single man about 50 meters from me, and all the obstacles between me and him had now been removed. Our eyes met. He was a plump man in a suit, wearing a rucksack on his back.
1人目。
Taking the shortest path there, I ran, straight ahead, through the crowd, without bumping into anyone, all while dragging my D-sword along with me. The porter, having noticed me, frantically turned around and tried to run, but I wouldn't allow it. Just like Senna, I swung my D-sword, a blade longer than I was tall. As always, it felt weightless. I could wield it like it was an extension of my arm. The tip of the D-sword dug into the rucksack, and then, almost as if it had been melted at an unfathomably high temperature, its contents were vaporized. The man sank to the ground, cradling his head as he trembled from fear. Without looking at him even one more time, I headed for the second one. It's nice to see him actually doing something. Below O-Front, once again, the obstacles leading up to it began to disappear, and a path was built. The man who stood there was extremely thin, wore a checkered board shirt and a pair of jeans. He had long hair and his skin was alarmingly pale. He seemed to be holding a bag, which he was treating with great care. Noticing me, he tried to blend into the crowd. But before he could do anything, I threw my D-sword. Fly. I formed a delusion. Ignoring all known laws of physics, it flew parallel to the ground, soaring faster and faster. Now he's become a shonen hero. It delicately corrected its path and pierced the man's bag with unmatched accuracy. It emitted a faint light, and the man fell to the ground. Just one more. I approached the man now on the ground and retrieved my D-sword. The third was in front of Hachiko. I had seen the porter countless times by now. Actually, let me be more precise. I had talked to them almost every day. The crowd dissipated, and for the third time a direct path appeared. And at the end of it was a woman wearing white scrubs. Oh shit! It's the nurse. A fact that made her conspicuous as could be.
あなたが3人目です。葉月さん。
Oh
Yeah.
shit! She's grim.
グリム。
She's grim. I was like, Grim is definitely somebody that knows him in real life. Amazing. The nurse who had smiled so gently to me at the hospital. Right? I'm telling you, like, Sua, her, whenever characters seem a little bit too nice, a little bit too normal, something's off with them. Was now glaring daggers at me. She had a large handbag with her. Most likely, there was a Noah 2 terminal inside.
真実を暴くんだ。
I love the fact that he knew that she was grim. Yeah, and also the story, like the pictures that she had drawn of like the guy stabbed a bunch of times, that too.
彼女がしてきたことをこの場にいる人たちに提示すれば、この熱病のような混乱は収まる。
What she did.
彼女がグリムなら、これまでの不自然な言動に
Oh shit,
君
okay.
は気づいているはず。
So I'm wondering, like, with the pictures of the stabbing, was she the one behind the actual crucifixion murder? He's saying unnatural action she's taken before. I know she works for, like, the Nozomi group, obviously.
僕が最初に君に接触した時のことを思い出して、僕は君に貼り付け事件の予
Oh
言をした。
yeah, okay.
君への継承だった。
Yes, and Grim has all of the details about all of the murders that happened, right? So she's the... Wait, so she's actually behind the murders? Oh shit.
でも僕よりも先に貼り付けを予言した人間がいる。
Oh my gosh. I didn't think she was the one behind the murder. I thought maybe because there was the pictures that she drew on that notepad. I remembered the exchange we'd had at the time. A few moments before Shogun talked to me for the first time, Grim had left the chat room, but right before that, they'd posted an image as a joke. A drawing. The very same drawing that Hazuki-san had scribbled on the medical chart. Oh my gosh, the drawing had been very poorly done, but what mattered was what it was depicting, the crucifixion case. Besides, the first time Grim had talked to me about the NewGen case, they'd said this: "It's all up in your neighborhood, LOL." Even though I had never told them I lived in Shibuya. Oh my gosh, I feel so dumb. All these things in retrospect, although I didn't think she was the one. Is it just the crucifixion case, or is she behind all of them? As a nurse, I guess she'd have access to... Well, she'd have access to the doctor, right? She was working with him directly. Oh, and then that's right, like, sewing up the thing with, like, chopping off the hand and feeding it to the girl, and then sewing a baby inside a guy. It would be someone who would have medical experience to be able to do all that stuff. Even a few hours earlier, Grim had left some comments that had made it seem like they knew I was Nishijo Takumi. You're a celebrity, so you'll be the center of attention. The second time I'd gone to the hospital, Hazuki-san had said,
高階先生はもういません。
and a week later, Dr. Takashina's corpse had been found. I swallowed back my
あ
saliva.
の人が
Oh my
真
gosh.
犯人。
Wow. Her mind was right before me. If I looked inward, I could see. Holy cow. Okay, well, I've been talking about how I've been wanting answers, and the game has kind of been like, it's been like a slow drip, just giving me little crumbs, and then this felt like the faucet was turned on. It felt like the dam broke, and all of a sudden, everything's coming out. Like, holy cow, the truth about Shogun, although it's been, I think, pretty obvious for a while that Shogun was Takumi, or the real Takumi. Rimi's existence we got some insight into that, what actually happened with Nanami. Nanami being a gigalomaniac, finally getting our D-sword. Been a long time coming. He's finally found a reason to fight and save the world. And the true culprit of the NewGen cases, I don't know if it's all the NewGen cases, but at least the crucifixion one. But the fact that Grim, aka the nurse, knew so much about the other NewGen cases and was always the first to tell Takumi about them, safe to assume she probably did at least a couple more of them. Holy, that's a lot to take in, but I guess we are almost done the first playthrough, so they do need to give us a lot of explanations of things. And now that Takumi has finally awakened the D-sword, I imagine that he's probably going to now go save Rimi and Nanami. Will he be able to do it this time, or will we have to do it in another playthrough? Like, how is this going to end? I don't know how much more is left. I think we're still on chapter 9. I believe there's 10 chapters, so we still have, I think, a little bit more of the game to go. Probably at least a couple more episodes before we wrap up the first playthrough of this. But yeah, that was an awesome episode. Like, so much revealed. Feels good to finally get some answers. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned next week for even more craziness. Until then, bye. Special shoutouts to my top tier patrons: Revealing Storm, Lynn's VA, Kenju Storm, and iCognito.